It is the task of NDLEA to stop all this unacceptable nonsense of drug abuse, drug trafficking in Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country we have. We cannot hold our arms. We can, will, and must.
The dangerous and nocturnal nature of the illicit drug business require arming and equipping of units in the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) to be able to address the challenge posed by those involved in the trade. Thus, the evolution of the tactical and SWAT units into what is now known as the Strike Force. This is NDLEA Today, and you are very welcome. In this edition of the program, our focus will be on the Directorate of Strike Force and Special Duties, otherwise known as the feet of the agency. Part of their responsibilities is the bearing of the firearms to protect the other officers and men of the NDLEA as they confront the dangerous drug cartels. Also in this episode, we will be bringing to you the detail of how a billionaire businessman suffered an interim forfeiture of 25 properties through a restraining order secured by the agency. Executive summary, news highlights, WADA update, and the feedback completes our package for this week. Once again, it's good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
On the news highlights for this week's episode of NDLEA Today. Brazilian returnee excretes 92 wraps of cocaine at Abuja airport. NDLEA arrests pregnant drug dealer in Edo. Forfeited properties. 2 underpriced layers buildings sold in 2001. NDLEA. A Brazilian returnee and father of 2, Okoli Paulino Sumabweze, has been arrested at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, NAIA Abuja, by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) for importing 92 wraps of cocaine, which he ingested and eventually excreted after days under observation in the agency's facility. The 53-year-old trafficker, who hails from Mako Village, Agulogu government area of Enugu State, was arrested recently upon arrival on Qatar Airline flight en route Brazil, Doha, Abuja. He claimed to have left Nigeria to Mozambique in 2004 and finally relocated to Brazil in 2017, where he obtained a residency permit before deciding to import the illicit substance for a $4,000 fee. In a related development, a 42-year-old man, Aliyu Bello Kwasara, has been arrested at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport for attempting to export a consignment of new psychoactive substance, Akoskura, to Saudi Arabia. The indigene of Kwap local government area of Sokoto, who lives in Goronduse area of Kano, was arrested on Monday, 5th September during the outward clearance of passengers on Ethiopian airline flight to Riyadh. At the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, no fewer than 1,099 tablets of tramadol 225 mg have been seized through interagency collaboration between NDLEA and the Nigerian Customs. The pharmaceutical opioids, packed in 50 cartons, weighing 2,058.90 kilograms, were imported from Pakistan via Addis Ababa on Ethiopian Airlines. The consignment was concealed among other non-controlled pharmaceuticals. A 25-year-old pregnant woman, Haruna Favor, has been arrested in Abuja, Edo State on Friday, 9 September by the operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) with 82 pinches of methamphetamine as well as various quantities of loud Arizona, Colorado variants of cannabis and codeine-based cough syrup. Confirming the arrest, the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, also revealed that attempts by drug cartels to export 7.805 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine to the United States and Australia have been thwarted by NDLEA operatives attached to some courier companies in Lagos. In another development, operatives of the NDLEA have raided some stores at the Gombe main market and recovered 119,000 tablets and capsules of tramadol D5 and XO5 from two drug dealers, Nasiru Abubakar and Umaru Bayero, also known as Hadiza. Also in Kogi State, a suspect, Paul Ali, was arrested along Okene Abuja Highway with 1,404 bottles of codeine-based syrups weighing 190.94 kilograms and 2,040 ampoules of pentazocine injection coming from Onitsha to Sokoto. A follow-up operation in Sokoto has also led to the arrest of the receiver of the consignment on Tuesday, 6 September. A raid at the cannabis plantation camp in Emure Forest, or local government area of Ondo State, has led to the arrest of Monday Onoja, Daniel Kende, and Obinna Okechukwu with 16 bags of illicit substance weighing 179.5 kilograms were seized from them. Chairman Chief Executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, has since commended officers and men of the Kogi, Edo, Ondo, and Gombe commands for their resilience. He further charged them and their compatriots in other commands to remain focused and vigilant in their areas of responsibility. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has said that two buildings in Adeniyi Jones, Ikeja, and Ikoyi areas of Lagos forfeited in drug prosecution cases but sold at underpriced amounts were indeed disposed in 2001 and not 2021, as some being erroneously reported by some media platforms. Some media platforms had reported a press briefing by the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, on the decision of the Federal Executive Council (FEC) to demand from buyers of the two buildings the appropriate prices as at the 2001 when they were sold as against the underpriced amounts. However, some media channels have erroneously reported that the buildings were sold in 2021. This clarification is therefore to correct the wrong impression following calls by concerned members of the public who have been calling top officials of the agency to clarify the mix-up in the year of sale of properties in reference. For clarity purpose, NDLEA did not auction any property in 2021 or 2022.
The Chairman Chief Executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA), Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, has met with top officials of his State Department with a view to seeking more collaboration between the agency and the State Department. Marwa, who led top officials of the agency to the meeting in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, 8th of September, was received by Tobin J. Bradley, Deputy Assistant Secretary, Africa, Middle East, and Knowledge Management of the State Department, in company of other officials of the U.S. State Department. The engagement explored several areas of support and collaboration for the agency. Also in attendance was Dr. Mark Hope, the Africa Program Officer, Office of Africa and Middle East. The NDLEA boss also used the opportunity to present copies of the agency's magazine to the Deputy Assistant Secretary.
Yes, it's true. Drugs are a vice in our society, costing lives and huge economic losses. But the story is not the same because the game has changed. It's a red card for drugs in Nigeria. There is a new sheriff in town. Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa is moving hard and fast with full speed and precision to rid the country of the drug scourge. NDLEA Today is a program that gives you a front seat in understanding the highs and lows, the laws of drug enforcement in the country. Join us every Monday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, Africa's largest TV network. NDLEA Today. Don't miss it.
The decision of the Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa-led administration to reorganize the operations of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA by creating new directorates and commands for proper service delivery is one of the game changers in the war against illicit drugs. The merger of the various tactical and SWAT teams across the command led to the creation of a new directorate known as Strike Force. The Commander Strike Force and Director Special Duties, Ahmed Ningi, described the Strike Force as the sharp edge of the agency, saddled with the responsibility of not only giving cover to the officers and men of the agency across the country, but equally equipped to confront the dangerous cartels in the drug trade. The members of the Strike Force are specially selected and trained for the operational needs of the agency. The various tactical training received by members of the Strike Force had prepared them adequately for their duties.
There are areas that they say they are no-go areas. Law enforcement officers cannot go. So we selected and trained and equipped these young men and women to make sure that there is no area in Nigeria, from the forest to the swamp to the hinterland, that we can go, that NDLEA cannot go. So they have special training, and their training has put them in a place to make sure that, in fact, their logo is that there is no impossibility.
The decision to provide barracks for the agency, according to the Director Strike Force, is a welcome development, since it will provide protection for the officers and men of the agency, including members of the Strike Force, considering the risk involved in their operations.
When the issue of the barrack came and the chairman said, this is it, we know this is another masterpiece from the general. You understand? So we said, with barrack, they're scared. They will not only sleep with their two eyes closed because they are aware that they're being protected. What used to obtain in the past, the officers will just stay with the resident and then the locals. You arrest people and then you go back to them again and stay. But now, the government is saying, you have a special barrack. Stay there in your barrack with your families. You are secured. For you to secure anybody, you first of all need to be secured. And that I think is the policy. So everybody will be secured, and that will give them peace of mind to do their job because they are secured and their families are secured. So it's a big plus. And one must move forward.
The determination of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA to inflict maximum loss on big-time barons and cartels received a major boost recently when the agency secured a restraining order over 25 properties belonging to billionaire businessman Malimson Ukatu. Ukatu and his accomplice Sunday Ibekotu are both currently on trial for importing tramadol valued at 3 billion naira into the country. The duo, who were remanded at the Ikoyi Custodian Center on the orders of Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court, Lagos, in July, following their plea of not guilty to the charges of conspiracy, trafficking in 322 kilograms of tramadol, unlawful dealing and possession of the said banned drug made against them by the NDLEA. Ukatu, who is the chairman of Wellington Group of Companies, came on the watch last year after 5 cartons of tramadol were seized from his staff on May 4, 2021, when he sold them to undercover police officers allegedly led by a former commander, Intelligence Response Unit, Abakiari, a deputy commissioner of police. Justice Emeka Wite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, in an order dated August 29, 2022, restrained Ukatu or any other person from dealing with the properties listed as Exhibit NDLEA 3. Like we advised weekly on this segment, you risk losing everything when you choose to venture into the drug business. Remember, a word is enough for the wise.
Don't do drugs. Don't try to. He go choke you. But when you start it to stop, it no go easy. As you dey drag am go, he dey drag you down. Water comot for my eyes, oh. When I remember the guys, oh. Many of them kissing bucket, oh. From cotton socket, oh. Make me no forget, oh. Project Taquitos. Rock up your see body, oh. Rock up wash your busy body. You can die in no sad, oh. Oh, yeah, help me tell somebody. Hey, rock up your see body, oh. The body, oh. The body, oh.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.
The Sokoto State Command of the NDLEA has delivered WADA sensitization lecture at Gada local government area, Central Mosque. The Rivers State Command has paid WADA advocacy visit to His Royal Majesty, Emir Emperor Jide Mpe II, JP, of Alisa Eleme Kingdom. The Idiroku Special Area Command of the NDLEA also paid WADA advocacy visit to His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Shola Adeniyi Olaniyan Oshiyi II, Ilufemiloye I of Ipokia Land, and the Yobe State Command paid WADA advocacy visit to the Yobe State Governor, His Excellency Mai Mala Buni. Delta State Command of NDLEA has delivered WADA sensitization lecture at Ogwashuku Central Mosque during the Jumat service.
Do you know? It is a misconception to think marijuana is a safe drug, especially if you only use it occasionally. Many kids and teens and even adults have the impression that pot is harmless at best, a getaway drug at worst. But studies increasingly show real dangers linked to its use. When you start smoking at a young age, marijuana damages your cognitive and social development, and you stand about a 1 in 6 chance of becoming addicted. Plus, you risk many of the same problems as cigarette smokers, including bronchitis, asthma, and emphysema. Do you know that those who think that spice is an even safer alternative are making a grave mistake? Also known as K2, leaf, fake weed, or black mamba, spice comes in small bags of dried herbs and chemicals marketed as smokable incense. Some effects include paranoia and panic attacks, are similar to those of regular marijuana. Because spice is newer, scientists are still working to document its other harmful effects, including irregular heartbeat, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and brain damage.
On the feedback segment today, Audi Baba from Giri, Abuja asks, are there any links between prescription opioid addiction and heroin addiction? Here is your answer. The connection between prescription opioid and heroin addiction has changed over time. According to several studies, in 1960s, more than 80% of the patients who sought treatment for an opioid addiction began their drug use with heroin. Today, nearly 80% of heroin users say that their first opioid use was a prescription drug. Peter Nelson from Umuahia, Abia State asks, how do I approach a loved one about their substance use? Here is your answer. If you think someone has a problem, it's important to approach that person in a non-confrontational way, at least for the first time. It's always a good idea to get the advice of a qualified professional counselor before talking with someone about their substance use. We do not recommend talking with a loved one
when you're upset as a result of their drinking or drug use. The best approach is to take a step back and wait until the next day. The feedback segment concludes our package for this week. Let's continue the conversation on ndlea.gov.ng or ndlea@gmail.com. Thank you for being part of it today, and bye for now.